Laura Dern.
Thank you. Good evening. Well, good evening, everybody. It's an honor for me to be here tonight to present the Daniel J. Wallace Founders Award and to personally thank you, Lupus LA, for the extraordinary work that you do. When I asked the recipient, is there anything you would want said about you when I have the opportunity to speak tonight, they retracted in horror away from me and went, So, buckle your seatbelts, Nancy. I have to admit that in preparation for this moment, I felt completely shamed by my lack of proactivity, doership, multitasking, and get ready, gang, I fear unintentionally I'm about to make you all feel exactly the same way. It was hard to get my brain around how to pay tribute to truly one of the most extraordinary people I have ever met and just about the best human I could know. So, where to begin? As I sat in my house trying to put pen to paper, it's hard, guys. I was juggling parenting 2 kids, okay? Working, trying to effect change under a few rocks or boulders. And that's when I thought about the irreplaceable and mind-blowing goddess and powerhouse that is Nancy Utley. So let's see. Nancy is a born leader, guide, facilitator, and matriarch in every sense of the word. She is a mother within this gorgeous family to 7 glorious children. Not 10, but there's a lot of kids in just this community, guys. And at times, before her magnificent partner Raymond came along, she was also at times single parenting. She has been the only woman in the room in a male-dominated business for many, many years and has now run the most successful specialty film company imaginable for 20 years. As you've seen, but not to be redundant, I think it should be said out loud. For example, 137 Oscar nominations, 106 Golden Globe nominations, and as aforementioned, a few recent wins that she helped give the world would be The Shape of Water, 12 Years a Slave, Birdman, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. That's just like the last year or 2, guys. And prior to her years of gorgeous filmmaking at Fox Searchlight, she gave us so much and developed campaigns at 20th Century Fox for some of our most iconic cinema. She has a master's in journalism from Northwestern. She had a full career in advertising. She works tirelessly, both philanthropically and in support of women in film, in governing our academy, and on boards and councils, including this board, across the country to mentor, support, and guide both our future and the next generation who inhabit it. But now, let's get personal. I've watched Nancy up close, both serving on the board of the Academy and, frankly, being the future of the Academy in my estimation, being such a guide and guru to me. and other boards in the past. I have, with great good fortune, worked for her company and watched her genius up close, both in support of making a film as well as marketing it. But it wasn't until this one particular night in Telluride, Colorado, while doing press for the film Wild, that I found my friend, my drinking buddy, my dance partner, and the last person to leave any party. It was one of those typical nights where a reception is given for a film screening, and you watch the executives, after a long day, kind of creep out, scoot out as quickly as possible. Usually the actors and the director hang around for a little bit, sort of wanting to celebrate their movie. But it starts to get awkward when publicists start coming around us urging that we leave because it looks really bad that we're the last ones there. And that's when my deep bond with Nancy began. I heard in this case our director say, Nancy, we are going to, I guess, go now. And Nancy turned, like, of course, a movie star in a 40s film. And with a martini in one hand for herself, she passed me a martini that was in her other hand and said, "Why? Now we get to have a whole other party just for us." She will not be only the life of the party. You will see her seize every opportunity at the party. And while others are mingling and trying to make contacts, she's the one in the corner advising or empowering the young intern, chatting up the server who actually wants to be an actor or an editor. And so this was my experience. And when given the privilege of this opportunity to speak about Nancy, I thought I better check in and see if my experience is unusual. So I asked our beloved, dear friend and her colleague, David Greenbaum, what's it like? And he felt the same level of shame we all do. The shame was high. He described asking Nancy, when they had a meeting at the Beverly Hilton, if she wanted to ride with him in the car from Fox. She said, "No, I'm just going to walk it because I got to get my steps in today." So he said to me when describing this, "I don't know how this works, Laura. How does she do this? I mean, she does this much for this many." So if any of you want to consider the epitome of an icon or a legend to emulate or to inspire you, I say let's imagine the woman sitting in her seat in a screening room waiting for the film to begin. Or perhaps in the back of a town car being driven to an airport where she's about to fly to the 120th film festival that season. That woman will be finishing a novel on her iPad while also doing a crossword puzzle and playing Sudoku. And under that iPad, she's going to be moving her legs the entire time because she's got to get her steps in because she's counting them. Oh, and did I mention she has lupus? So, ladies and gentlemen, David reminded me of Sally Ride's great quote, "You can't be what you don't see." As a woman, as an artist, as a mother, an activist, and a friend, what I see is someone who uses everything she's been given, everything she's been dealt, as a drive toward doing more, saying more, and mattering more. She inspires endless great art by our most daring and radical visionaries. She endlessly serves her community, her family, her beautiful partnership with Raymond, and she never lets anything stop her or slow her down. So in all these categories, in all these areas, And as a thank you to Nancy Utley, I say it's time for us all to start counting our steps. Nancy, thank you. Even if I stay quiet across a boardroom and just stare at you, thank you for being my inspiration. I love you. I'm so privileged to be here and speak about you. Congratulations, and thank you all for honoring such an extraordinary woman.
Que ces cloches de se dire adieu et Paris est si froid. Mon Dieu, si tu existes même un peu.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Laura. I don't even know what to say to that. That was incredibly beautiful. And I'm so proud to have you by my side because I admire you so very much as an actor, as an activist, and as an all-around beautiful soul, and my friend and my comrade in arms. I love you. Thank you also to our dinner chairs, again, Lauren Schuler-Donner, Bruna Papandrea, and Jim Giannopoulos, and to Adam and the board of Lupus LA for extending this great honor. Thank you to my friend and our host, Scott Mantz. And thank you to my assistant, Caroline Vanstrom, for, everything. When I was first asked to accept this honor, I was hesitant. Because, after all, I'm one of the lucky ones. Because of the great care of the amazing Dr. Wallace and my guardian angels in his office, Jody, Sylvia, Norma, Crystal. And because of fate or luck or good fortune, my lupus has been well managed and I've been in reasonably good health. When I was first diagnosed in 1991, I immediately called my friend and colleague, Kimberly Belcher, who's on the dinner committee for tonight's event. Among the things that drove our long-standing friendship was our mutual compulsion to obsess about diseases we might have or we might get. There was no internet then, imagine that. So we each invested in these impossibly large medical reference books with really gruesome photos in them. We would pore over these tomes and use them to diagnose ourselves, each other, our friends, and our family members. When I called Kim to tell her about my new and actual diagnosis, she flipped open her medical book to the page about systemic lupus erythematosus. She started reading, and then she said the average 10-year life expectancy is, and she stopped short and said, well, that part's outdated. It was indeed outdated. But as I've lived with this diagnosis for the last 27 years, it took some time to grow from fear and despair to acceptance and optimism. And I appreciate the advantages I have that many do not enjoy. Sure, there are daily medications and quarterly injections and the occasional setback. But I'm lucky to have first-class health insurance, which keeps my disease from being a financial burden. I'm lucky to have a job that gives me flexibility to go to doctor's appointments and to take care of my health. I'm lucky because I have a strong support system of family and friends, many of whom are here tonight, including my husband and 2 of my daughters. So back to why should I receive this honor? After mulling it over, I became intrigued about lending my voice, my strong, relatively healthy voice, to tell the stories of those who have had it far harder than me. So tonight I'd like to tell you about 2 remarkable young women I know, Carla and Dora. In 2013, I was paired with Carla Hernandez as part of the Hollywood Reporter's Big Brothers Big Sisters mentor program. Carla was then a junior at Manual Arts High School here in Los Angeles, and Carla has lupus. This was one of the reasons we were paired, and I was the first person that Carla had ever met who had lupus, too. From early on, Carla was determined to be the first person in her family to attend and indeed graduate from college. But starting in middle school, lupus threatened to derail her plans. When first diagnosed in 8th grade, Carla was forced to miss an entire semester of school due to illness. She was unable to walk, unable to eat due to pancreatitis, and unable to be away from home for long due to severe exhaustion. She suffered from virtually every identifiable symptom of lupus, and her flares were truly debilitating. To make it even harder, Carla's single mother, Maria, also suffered from illnesses, sometimes at the same time as Carla. With the help of her doctor of 8 years, Dr. Marzan from Children's Hospital Los Angeles, who I believe is in the room tonight, Carla began to be able to manage her severe joint pain. Her determination proved stronger than the obstacles that were put in her path, and she is now finishing her junior year at USC. Carla, can you please stand? My second story is about Dora Palmer, who can't be with us tonight for a happy reason because she is studying hard in her junior year at Barnard. Dora was part of the Academy of Motion Pictures Gold Intern Program last summer, and I was a mentor in the program. I wasn't paired with Dora, but I was immediately drawn to her, and I glommed onto her. She read somewhere that I had lupus, and she came to talk to me about it and said that she had lupus too. We were able to discuss her struggles and how lupus has threatened to derail her education plan at times as well. Dora had first experienced her first symptoms during high school, and they have only worsened in college. Some days she has had to use a wheelchair or a cane to get around, and occasionally she has woken up unable to see or unable to process sound. In January 2017, Dora was hospitalized for a flare-up that attacked her liver, and after a thorough evaluation, she was formally diagnosed with lupus. Only 3 days after she was discharged from the hospital, she went back to Barnard to tackle a new semester. With the support of her doctors and through her own perseverance, she achieved a 3.8 GPA for that semester. Dora ended this fall semester with a perfect 4.0 and is on track to graduate next May magna cum laude. I'm inspired by the stories of Carla and Dora because, as painful and challenging as they are, they have resulted in academic success and high functionality. But we know there are many other stories, some devastating. I'm proud of my work with Lupus LA because this organization is trying to make sure that every lupus story has a happy ending. Lupus LA is at the forefront of advocacy, awareness, critical research, and patient support. Despite high-profile awareness boosts from people like Selena Gomez, who has lupus, Michael B. Jordan, whose mother has lupus, and Sharon Stone, whose sister has lupus, the disease is not well known or understood by the general public. Your support of Lupus LA through donations and by being here tonight means that Carla, Dora, myself, and many others, and all the others with lupus, have a better chance at a long, healthy, and pain-free life. Each of you has my deepest thanks. Thank you.